Hello, gamers!
I'm back, and my room looks like You know why? Do you want to know why it looks like stinky dung dung? It's because I just took the LSAT. I did, yes, and in order to take the LSAT, I took it in this room. I had to basically disassemble my setup and cover up my posters and remove everything from the room that I could possibly use to cheat. Which to me, I was like, how the f were people cheating in all these ways? It seems like more effort to cheat on the LSAT than to just goddamn study for it, if I'm being so real with you. But hey, I did it. I haven't reassembled my setup yet, but I did want to get this video done because hey, it's about high time I made another video, isn't it? That's what I do, right? I make videos. I'm a YouTuber. That's the thing. Let's talk about it. So as you can see on today's video, we're covering a contentious topic. We're getting back to what really matters. Fights on the internet between weird nerds about tabletop RPGs. Let's go. And we're talking about the wizard versus the sorcerer. This tea is gonna be piping. Disclaimer, before we get into it, did you know I have a Patreon? That's right, for $3 a month, I think, or is it $5 now because based on inflation? I don't know. When I said it, it said 3. You can become a patron today and get all of my videos 24 hours early. It is the best way to support the channel, so if you want to stay up to date on all of my latest happenings and also get all my shit 24 hours early, link in the description below. Anyway, back to the video. Did you know the wizard versus sorcerer debate has been happening for quite some time? Probably ever since the class in 5th edition came out, and they made all those changes to the sorcerer between 3.5 and 5th edition. Now we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about where we're at in 5th edition. Don't bring up 3.5 or heaven forbid another fucking tabletop RPG in order to rebut this video. Lord have mercy, if I see somebody mention in Pathfinder, your face. That's your eyes. Okay, let me just line that up like that, okay? Don't do it. Anyway, let's keep the discussion of what we're talking about, and that is the wizard and the sorcerer in 3.5. And
The wizard and the sorcerer in 5th edition. You got me confused now.
Now, this is kind of hard to assess, I think, for a lot of people. They seem similar in a lot of ways, which is where the comparisons begin, but they're also different in enough ways that it can kind of be hard to assess. For some people who aren't me, I actually know the answer, and we're going to talk about it today. In assessing these classes and assessing how they compete and compare with each other, I think the best place to start is by looking at the class features themselves. What does the wizard get? What does the sorcerer get? What does the how do they compare to each other? Now, these classes are both very similar in that they're both full casters, meaning that they get all the way up to 9th level spells and 9th level spell slots, and then they don't get much else, meaning that the spells are very important. The spells that your class has access to are very important in determining the overall viability of your class, and those who've played either the sorcerer or the wizard know what's going to come after this. What's up with my hair? It's doing weird things. My playoff haircut. I look like a hockey bro. Oh no. So let's compare the class features. The wizard and the sorcerer both get very limited class features because, you know, they mostly get spells, but the class features the sorcerer get are their proficiencies, their skill proficiencies, spell casting, metamagic, ASIs. They get basically 5 class features, which isn't much, but the metamagic things, it's only one thing, but they do get more options than you might expect from a single class feature. Wizards get proficiencies, skill proficiencies, spell casting, their spell book, arcane recovery, ASIs, and then their signature spell features. Now, off rip, it seemed numbers-wise, the wizard gets more class features. that's not an argument. That's not a thing. The sorcerer does get metamagic, and this is going to be the primary difference between the two classes is metamagic, sorcery points, and wizards with their spell book. Taking everything aside, I think this is the best way we can compare these two classes off a rip. Metamagic is a pretty useful class feature. I'm not going to knock it for what it is. It is a pretty useful class feature that allows the sorcerer to change the way in which they cast their spells. They can make them more likely to succeed. They can make them deal on average slightly more damage, quicken spells to cast on bonus actions. They can subtle spell. They can do a couple of things with them, and they learn eventually a large number of the different meta magics. But I've got bad news. Not all of them are good. In fact, most of the metamagics aren't good. And most of the metamagics are borderline useless. Let's go grab them. I said let's go grab them as if I didn't have the player's handbook right here. I'm so silly. They get a few more as the books come out, but in the PHB, you get Careful Spell, which allows you to make your allies automatically succeed on the saving throw of your spells. They affect an area. Now, succeeding on the save of a fireball means you still get hit with the fireball. This is mediocre. And a lot of the spells that, like, if you succeed, nothing happens, you can already choose not to affect certain creatures. Like, slow. What is this metamagic? This is a useless fucking metamagic. If you pick Careful Spell, you have not chosen your metamagics carefully. Distant Spell. When you cast a spell that has a range of 5 feet or greater, spend 1 sorcery point to double the range of the spell. Just take Spell Sniper as a fucking feat. This is useless. Empowered Spell. When you roll damage for a spell, you can spend 1 sorcery point to reroll a number of the damage dice up to your charisma modifier. You must use the new rolls. This, on average, if you use it exclusively to reroll 1s and 2s on certain spells, should increase the average dice roll of that by 1. But as you can note, it basically just allows you to reroll a number of dice up to your charisma modifiers. So you can increase the damage of a spell on average by 5 by your charisma modifier. That's weak. Extended Spell. Cast a spell that has a duration of 1 minute or longer, you can spend a sorcery point to double its duration. This is niche. It's okay if you want your mage armor to last 16 hours, I guess, past the adventuring day, so that if you get ambushed on your watch, you're gonna be prepared, I guess, but there's not many spells for which you would use Extended Spell on that's actually useful. You could extend a hold person longer than a minute, I guess, but then it's only 2 minutes. Can only double its duration once. Can't make it go longer than 1 doubling. It's not how metamagic works. So you're at most getting 2 minutes, but if you're doing it mid-combat, the guy should be dead if they're paralyzed. Just smack them a few times. Heightened Spell. If you force a creature to make a saving throw to resist its effects, spend 3 sorcery points to give 1 target of the spell disadvantage. 1 target? Forcing disadvantage on 1 target is not good. Basically, a way we can think of this mathematically is if you give somebody disadvantage, they are more likely to take the full amount of damage. You could also think of this as doubling the damage in a way. It's not exactly mathematically, but that's just a way for you to easily think about it. So 3 sorcery points to almost double the damage consistently. Should they fail, they would probably... Honestly, it's not even close to doubling the damage. The more I think about it, it's more just, it's just disadvantage. It's just what it is. But that's only okay. Quicken Spell. This is good. When you cast a spell, there's a casting time of 1 action. You can spend 2 sorcery points to change the casting time to 1 bonus action for this casting. This is pretty good. This allows you to cast Fireball bonus action and then Shocking Touch action. You cannot, however, Fireball bonus action, Fireball action. That goes against the bonus action clause. You can't do. Well, this is kind of good. This is kind of good. Subtle Spell. When you cast a spell, you spend 1 sorcery point to cast it without any somatic or verbal components. This is, once again, pretty useful. Being able to cast spells without those components means that they can't be counted because the spell isn't seen being cast. Unless, of course, there's material components. In which case, you're hosed. And some people would argue if the material component is just your arcane focus, how would they be able to tell? I argue that's a bad faith reading of what this is supposed to mean. I would genuinely say. And then Twin Spell. When you cast a spell that targets only 1 creature and you doesn't have a range of self, you can spend a number of sorcery points equal to the spell's level to target a second creature in range with the same spell. To be eligible, the spell must be incapable of targeting more than 1 creature at the spell's current level. For example, Magic Missile and Scorching Ray aren't eligible, but Ray of Frost and Chromatic Orb are. So this is pretty good. It allows you to target more people, get more use out of your abilities. So Twin Spell, Subtle Spell, and Quicken Spell. That is effectively what you get. That's worth taking. Everything else is fucking guff. Then we get the Wizard Spellbook. Oh my god, the Wizard Spellbook. What a broken fucking class feature. The Wizard Spellbook is insanely good. The Wizard Spellbook allows wizards to learn new spells, and this seems innocuous at first until you realize the Wizard Spell List is a massive utility belt of plot conveniences. The Wizard Spell List, if they have access to all of it, means that they are Batman at full power. They have everything. They can do everything. There is a spell for everything, and the Spellbook Spellbook allows them to learn and access these spells. This means that they can solve, guaranteed, any scenario or encounter with enough prep time. And without that, it also means that they can cast ritual spells that they just know but don't have prepared. Meaning that they don't even have to wait, they can just learn shitloads of ritual spells and be eternally useful throughout the campaign. The Wizard Spellbook is entirely unique, entirely the Wizard's thing, and entirely way too fucking strong. On the Sorcerer side, we have Quicken Spell, Twin Spell, and Subtle Spell, which are nichely useful. And on the other side, we have the Spellbook, which allows them to literally solve any problem. I think we're going with the Wizard. Make no mistake though, I am not doing this because I am for some reason biased towards the Wizard. I think some people see me say that the Wizard is the strongest class in the game and they think that I am some sort of Wizard bias. I am here to communicate information to you. If another class was stronger, I would tell it was stronger. The fact remains the Wizard is strong and I'm telling you why. This isn't because I haven't considered the usefulness of these class features either. I have played every class in the game multiple times. I've done it. I have played every class. I know which are good.
I know which are good in the most scenarios.
And the fact remains, if I'm in a scenario that requires me to have to deal with a problem and I don't know what problems I'm going to face, I'm picking the Wizard because I know that they'll have the most ability to learn how to beat that problem. Spellbook enables them to solve more problems than the Sorcerer ever could with their metamagic. Point to the Wizard. And let us now move on to spells. Oh god, the spells. The spells is insane. In fact, I could probably end the video after talking about the spells because there's no way the Sorcerer will be able to keep up. But I do feel like I should talk about it, at least a little bit. Spell list wise, the Sorcerer is absolutely outclassed. Not only do they suffer from being a known caster, meaning that every level up they learn a spell and then cannot change that spell ever, and then cannot unlearn that spell unless they get another level up, meaning that they are much less versatile as the game progresses. They are kind of set into their playstyle from the get-go, but they also just are able of learning less spells, and the spells that they have to choose from are significantly worse. The Sorcerer doesn't learn Wall of Force. The Sorcerer doesn't learn Spirit Shroud. The Sorcerer doesn't learn Feeble Mind. The Sorcerer doesn't learn Maze. In fact, the Sorcerer doesn't even have a single unique spell. By that I mean a spell that no other class learns. The Wizard has multiple of those. I think they have the most, but the Sorcerer doesn't even get one. They used to have one. They used to have Chaos Bolt, which was a pretty okay first level damage spell. You could upcast it to increase the number of d6s it dealt, and at first level it was quite heavy hitting. 2d8 plus 1d6 damage. And if the d8s rolled the same number, it would attack another target, meaning that it was a very good spell to use with Twin Spell because it doesn't actually target multiple enemies initially. Very good spell. It's actually quite solid, but now any class that can cast spells can learn it as long as they are an Izzet engineer background. Their single unique spell got given away in a background. They don't even know that many spells that are unique between the Sorcerer and the Wizard. I've currently got the Sorcerer spell list up. Currently, I've got Earthquake at 8th level, Flame Blade, which is an optional spell, by the way. That wasn't always the case. Got Earthquake and Flame Blade, and I'm on 4th level spells already. Insect Plague, 3 unique spells from what I can tell. There might be more, there might be less. I think the Wizard has 3 unique cantrips. And the spells that the Sorcerer is missing are bad. Like the Sorcerer's missing Spirit Shroud, which is the hallmark of high level play. Sorcerer's missing Wall of Force, which is a massive detriment to them. Spells that they're missing it's not small spells. They are missing critical spells. The Sorcerer does not have the output. They don't have the power to keep up. Their spell list is bad, and the thing is as well is it's not even versatile. It's not like the Sorcerer could prepare a new list the next day in making their smaller spell list and getting more use out of it. No, they get one of the worst spell lists in the game, and then the added detriment of being forced to learn them permanently. The Wizard gets the single best spell list in the game, and they get to prepare new spells, and they get to learn new spells. Considering this, that the Sorcerer and Wizard's class features are mostly the spells that they learn, this is a massive loss for the Sorcerers. Wizards not only get to learn 2 spells per level up, They can also learn more just by going to the library and studying for an adequate amount of time and money. Insane. And this fault of the Sorcerer is going to set the stage for the rest of the problems with the Sorcerer. Them falling behind in the spell race is really, really bad. It is a significant detriment to their overall success as a class in comparison to the Wizard. This isn't like, oh, a 10-meter head start in the 100-meter race. This is like a 50-meter head start in the 100-meter dash. This is massive, and the Sorcerer is going to spend the rest of their class features and subclasses trying to make up for this. Meanwhile, we're going to see what the Sorcerer does instead. Let's move on to subclasses. Up until spells, Sorcerer and Wizard was kind of up in the air. It was a bit iffy. I'd say slight edge to Wizards just due to their overall versatility. But once we see the sheer difference in spell list, I think it becomes almost entirely too clear how much stronger the Wizard is. That massive detriment the Sorcerers have off of the spells is going to carry through the subclasses. And this is where we can start to see the Wizards run away with the game. Sorcerers subclasses, up until recently, they were usually pretty bad. They were only okay. In the player's handbook especially, the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer was the one that you picked if you wanted to be good, because the Wild Magic Sorcerer is very bad, incredibly so. But the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer just gives you free mage armor. Let me actually get its features out. Draconic Resilience, giving you basically mage armor for free. Elemental Affinity, which grants you the ability to add your charisma modifier to the damage roll of a spell of your choice, which is like good, but by this point, Warlocks have been doing this since level 2. They're doing it more than you. This isn't a lot. This isn't the type of power that we need to keep up with the Wizards. You get wings, which are good. This basically means you learn the spell fly for free at 14th level. And you get the terrifying presence feature at level 18. So you can cast fear for free, I guess. The Wild Magic Sorcerer is pretty mid. It's not even worth talking about, if I'm being so honest. It's not good. Those are the two subclasses you got as a Sorcerer in the PHB. Let's see what the Wizard gets. Oh, right. The Wizard gets all of your metamagics in their subclasses. Don't believe me? Let's talk about it. The Evocation Wizard allows them to sculpt their spells. Remember that careful spell feature that just allowed people to succeed on the save, but they'd still probably take damage? Yeah. Evocation Wizard gets to completely ignore that entirely. Nice. Hey, remember that you had that feature that made people roll at disadvantage? The Divination Wizard can just choose the number, meaning the Divination Wizard can do both what Careful Spell did and what Heightened Spell did. Interesting. And these are only with single class features from the subclasses. This is just off rip. We're not even getting into the more broken things. But speaking of Divination Wizard, hey, remember how Sorcerers could get their spell slots back? The Divination Wizard can do that too. Beginning at 6th level, casting Divination spells comes easily to you, that you only expend a fraction of your spellcasting efforts. When you cast a Divination spell of 2nd level or higher using a spell slot, you regain 1 expended spell slot. The slot you regain must be of a level lower than the spell you cast and can't be higher than 5th. Did you know that there's a Divination spell that deals damage? Mind Spike. You can upcast this spell and continuously regain spell slots, meaning that if you've spent all your 2nd, 3rds, 4ths, and 5ths, you can cast it at 6th and regain your 5th. You can then cast it at 5th and regain your 4th. You can then cast your 4th and then regain your 3rd. You can then cast... You see how that is way more spells than the Sorcerer, than the Sorcerer could probably get? And if you're careful, you can even do this even better. Because if you keep all your 5ths open, spend all your 4ths, you can cast a 5th, and then you get your 4th back. You can then cast a 4th and get your 3rd back. You can then do your 3rd, get your 2nd back. You can do that 3 times. So that is 4 spell slots back 3 times. That's 12 extra spell slots. Goodbye, font of metamagic. The Divination class has just ripped your entire shtick. And that's not to mentioning the versatility of portents. The fact that they can just increase their powers of perception to see dark vision, ethereal sight, greater comprehension, and see invisibility. And the fact that they get 3 portents at level 14. And then if they have a simulacrum, that means 6 portents. Divination Wizard completely blows the Sorcerer out of the water off rip. 1 subclass. Now, the Sorcerer subclasses in future books spend their entire time trying to make up for their lack of spells. For example, the Divine Soul Sorcerer allows you to pick cleric spells. This is a good subclass, but if you are just trying to keep up with a wizard, the Divine Soul Sorcerer has all the benefits of being a wizard, the versatility of portents, which can not only replicate most of your metamagic effects, but are actually more useful because they're more consistent. They're more consistent, they replicate what you do, they do what you do, they do it better than you, and to top it all off, they get more shit. Divine Soul tries to fix this, and the future subclasses, the Aberrant Mind and the Clockwork Soul, would all give you more spells in order to try and just make up for this lack of versatility, but it's just not enough. Because by the time you have finally caught up to the PHB School of Divination Wizard, the School of Evocation ran away with you as well. Because guess what the School of Evocation gets? First of all, Empowered Evocation, beginning at 10th level, you can add your intelligence modifier to a damage roll of any wizard evocation spell you cast. That means they just got your entire shtick, Draconic Sorcerer, and they know Fly, and they have Overchannel, which is a crazy ability which allows them to maximize the roll of their evocation spells at 5th level or lower. You can, their damage dealing spells, not even their evocation spells, their damage dealing spells at 5th level or lower, which means they can do this on Spirit Shroud and can deal over 1006 damage if multi-classed properly, and 720 damage if not. Check the link in the description for that video. So the wizard can deal more damage than you can. The wizard has more versatility than you have. All of your metamagics are replicable. And for the ones that aren't, there's a feat. Metamagic Adept. Metamagic Adept allows me to just get your entire shtick. So I can be a divination wizard with Metamagic Adept to get all the things I can't do, like Quicken Spell and Subtle Spell, but I can do absolutely everything else. The only thing I can't do now is Twinned Spell. I have reduced the only benefit that a sorcerer has over me to Twinned Spell. Meanwhile, I have more spells, better spells, stronger spell lists, more versatile class features, better versatility in the campaign, the ability to adapt to the campaign as it progresses instead of needing to beg the DM for a level up so I can swap out a spell I took 10 sessions ago. It's ridiculous. And of course, by the time the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything released and the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer and the Clockwork Soul Sorcerer released, the wizard got the Blade Singer. Goodbye, your entire fucking arms race. It just got finished. The Blade Singer is an easily incredibly brokenly strong subclass. Upping your armor class, your concentration saving throws, which is the one thing that sorcerers did have over wizards for a while, is the fact that they had concentration saving throw proficiencies, which is, in my opinion, if you can replicate that with a feat, it's not that much. The resilient feat should be taken by every spellcaster. Blade Singer increases the concentration saving throws, their armor class, increases their damage, allowing them to take the attack action and cast a cantrip, allowing them to stack crazy amounts of damage in their action economy. It's over. It's fucking over. Oh, let's not forget as well, Twinned Spell. Hey, guess what? You can do that as an enchantment wizard too. Split enchantment, starting at 10th level. When you cast an enchantment spell of 1st level or higher, the target's only one creature. You can have it target a second creature. I wonder what spells those are. Perhaps could it be Cold Person? I guess Catnap's on there too. Oh, would you look at that? Dominate Beast, Confusion, Charm Monster, Hold Monster, Geas, Modify Memory, Feeble Mind, Dominate Monster, Power Word Kill. Wow, looks like a lot of your shtick, Sorcerer, is just being a less versatile, worse version of the wizard. And keep in mind, these subclasses are in the PHB, and it takes them one class feature to replicate an entire other class's shit, and then on top of that gets to be more versatile by learning more spells that come from a better spell list that allow them to learn more spells actively as the campaign progresses. It's just not even a contest at this point. The wizard is doing dances on the gravestone of every sorcerer. Spell list wise, class feature wise, the sorcerer is worse, and it tries its best, but it just can't keep up, because by the time they're caught up, the wizard has already ran away with the game. The only thing that they have left is the fact that they are using a really strong stat, Charisma. Charisma is an incredibly strong stat to have as your primary stat, especially as far as being a caster is concerned. The last thing you want to do is be charmed or dominated or anything like that, or banished. You should be counterspelling those, obviously, but wizards are better at counterspelling. I'm just going to say that. And second of all, one of the benefits of being high charisma is not just that it's a useful stat to have for saving throws, it's also a useful stat in roleplay. Persuasion, deception, and performance checks are quite commonplace. But did you know a wizard can get around this with 2 spells that they can very easily pick up and become better at the very thing that you have left, sorcerers? That's right, the spell Borrowed Knowledge. Knowledge! Borrowed knowledge requires that you have a book worth 25 GP or less. A spell book costs 50 GP, meaning that every wizard can pick this up basically for free without ever needing to worry about the material components. What it does is it gives them proficiency in a skill of their choice for an hour, meaning they just have every skill proficiency at their leisure now. Costs an action to cast. This means that every single skill proficiency that you have, sorcerers, is now at the whim and leisure of the wizard. And you might be saying, oh, but can't I learn borrowed knowledge? No, you fucking can't, because only bards, clerics, warlocks, and wizards can learn it, meaning that you are shit out of luck. So what do you do now? Well, I hear you say, I get to do this resourceless, but it's not resourceless. I see a lot of people say, I'm doing this resourceless, and I think this is because people are viewing how resources work in a way that is not conducive to being actually what it is. You picked that skill proficiency. You used your one-time ability of choosing a skill proficiency to be good at for the rest of the campaign. That was the resource you expended. Wizards don't even need to care. They don't even need to commit. They can just pick up borrowed knowledge. And now your entire commitment to being good at persuasion is in jeopardy because a wizard picked up borrowed knowledge as a second level spell. And if they're a divination wizard, they're gonna cast it and get that first level spell slot back that they cast to cast shield in the fight earlier. And if they have borrowed knowledge, this means that it combos perfectly into skill empowerment, allowing themselves to give themselves expertise in a skill of their choice with 2 actions, with concentration lasting up for an hour. Great, they're now better at lock picking than the rogue. Of course, sorcerers, you do also have skill empowerment, but why the fuck would you ever cast that on yourself? You're casting that on the wizard who just cast borrowed knowledge to get the skill that they needed. Oh, there's a big heavy door in the way and we're squishy casters. Well, not anymore. Looks like the wizard cast borrowed knowledge to give themselves proficiency in athletics and skill empowerment to give themselves expertise in athletics, and suddenly they're lifting more than the barbarian. The wizard can do everything. The wizard spell list is a never-ending utility belt of bullshit. It's ridiculous to me. The fact of the matter is, when assessing a class and assessing its usefulness, the question that you need to ask yourself is how many encounters, theoretically, could this class solve? The sorcerer could solve a lot of them. Some utility, some damage, but can you really say it can solve more than a divination wizard with a full spell list? No. No, it can't. Because with the right combo of spells, that wizard is solving every problem in the game. 2 spells to deal the maximum damage needed to kill anything in the monster manual: Spirit Shroud and Scorching Ray. 2 spells to be able to clear any skill check challenge in the game: Borrowed Knowledge and Skill Empowerment. 1 spell needed to trick any guard into thinking things: Major Image and Divination Portent. At the end of the day, all of these spells combine into the wizard solving any problem that they've ever had, the drop of a hat and the flick of their wrist. Which is why I can safely say, unanimously and profoundly, the wizard is the best class in D&D, and it is certainly better than the sorcerer. Now, I don't want to leave y'all on the note of, oh boy, my favorite class is cheeks. Because it's not. The thing is, none of the classes in D&D are bad enough that you can't have fun with them and you can't play them in your home game or your campaign or whatever you're doing and still have an amazing time. It's not like they are useless or they're so bad that you can't make a build that's still fun. Paladin Sorcerer is fun. Warlock Sorcerer is fun. Paladin Warlock Sorcerer is fun. Sorcerer alone is still fun to play, but we weren't asking questions of fun. We were asking who is better and what is stronger. And that is why we answered things the way we did. Do not let this video discourage you. Take this as a bit of information to carry with you to go, that's interesting. I'm still playing Sorcerer. And genuinely, when the playtests come out for 1D&D, think back to this video, and when they come out, actually go, is this helping the Sorcerer be as good, or at least as viable a pick as the Wizard? That is all for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've been planning this video for a little bit. I'm glad to be back making content. I've got a really cool video coming up about the Off-Broadway D&D show that was there. I went and saw it. It was incredible. So excited to talk about it. I hope you have an amazing day. Get the fuck out of my house.